Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So for this video, when I was originally planning it, I wanted to challenge myself. And I failed. If you've been following the channel for a bit, you'll know that I like taking D&D spells, mechanics, abilities, and just what have you, and then pushing them way too far, or exploring certain angles that maybe people would have overlooked. And for this video, I wanted to explore the spell Magic Jar and see if there was actually a way that players could use it ethically, or even in which situation a good aligned player would use Magic Jar. So for those of you that don't know what the spell Magic Jar does, is it's basically possession, and the description of the spell is a bit long, so I'm going to try to paraphrase, so bear with me. When you cast the spell, your body falls into a catatonic state as your soul leaves it and then enters a container that you used for the spell's material component. And this component is a gem, crystal, reliquary, or some other ornamental container worth at least 500 gold. While your soul is inhabiting the container, you're aware of your surroundings. However, you can't move or take reactions. The only action that you can take is to shoot your soul 100 feet out of the container, either returning to your living body, and which ends the spell, or attempting to possess another humanoid's body. You can do this by making them roll a charisma saving throw, and if they fail, you basically possess them. And then, this isn't the sort of spell where it's only affecting them for, an hour, 8 hours, what have you. This lasts indefinitely. It basically lasts until a few different conditions happen. One being, the container that your original soul was in gets destroyed, which is actually now housing the host body's soul, or B, the host body dies. And then if either of those two situations happen and your original body is not available to take your soul back, you die. It's game over. You roll up a new character sheet. You might be thinking, oh, okay, well, it's fine as long as I'm on the same plane of existence. No. You need to be within 100 feet of your original body if/when any of this goes down. So anyways though, once you possess a creature's body, you control it, and your in-game statistics are replaced by the statistics of that creature, although you retain your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. And you also retain the benefits of any class features too. However, if that target that you're possessing has class features, you can't use any of them. And also, just to clarify too, because I said something that I want to clarify. So, if the host body dies, you don't immediately, have to roll up a new character sheet. So if the host body dies while you're in it, that original creature does die, and then you have to make a charisma saving throw against your own spell save DC. If you succeed, you get to go back into the container if it's within 100 feet of you. If not, you die. So in the case of this spell, something you really need to do is you need to make sure that you have your original body somewhere close in case things go wrong, and you also need to have the container somewhere close in case that goes wrong. And so, looking over Magic Jar, I tried as hard as I could, and I came back with absolutely nothing. I have no idea under what sort of obscure circumstance you would ever be able to use this spell in a non-malevolent, practical way. I think the closest thing would be like doing a body swap sort of episode cliche, but even then, it would just be easier to throw up a seeming on 2 different people, maybe use an extended spell if you somehow have access to it, and see what sort of hijinks those people could get into. And even too, I have no idea why this spell is available to players. It seems like something that the devs would put it more as a mechanic that you would use in a creature stat block. Because it doesn't seem like this is the sort of thing that players should have access to. And yeah, I know that DM spells exist, but I, as both a DM and a player, think that this notion is somewhat silly. If we, the players, are not supposed to have these spells, then why are they listed as available player options? Magic Jar just seems like the kind of spell that you come up with alongside your DM in an evil home game. You just go up to your DM and say, hey buddy, I was hoping we could give my necromancer wizard just some really cool abilities, just maybe we could, team up, make a homebrew spell, give it a more ghostly flavor and vibe. And then they turn to them and say, I got you. And this is the malevolent hellspawn that came out of it. But yeah, so my minor rant aside, there are some big features and drawbacks that I did want to highlight with the spell. So first of all, while this ability does sound super evil and powerful, it also makes the caster who's using it super vulnerable. As I mentioned with the spell's description, you get all of the physical features of that person's new body, whereas you get to keep your mental alignment. This means that your strength, dexterity, constitution, AC, and hit points are all changed into the targets. If you ever want to, joke about how fragile wizards are, then get ready for the most fragile wizard you could ever be. The average civilian has a whopping 4 hit points at max, and the average guard has a whopping 15 to 20 hit points at max. And this is the majority of people that you will likely encounter in your games. It's the shame of it, but at the same time, you're gonna find people that are more average than not. Statistically, the players within a world this big are supposed to be like 1%, like the top 1% of power, prestige, ability, development. Like, you guys are the superheroes of this world. Finding another person that's gonna have these sorts of stats is very unlikely. And even too, it's possible that you could use this on someone particularly physically strong, like a barbarian or fighter character, but even then, you have none of their strengths, none of their class features. In reality, all you have is just a lot of strength, a lot of dexterity, a lot of constitution, and that's it. You don't gain any new proficiencies, you don't really gain anything new from that character, so it really kind of begs the question of like, why? Why are we here? So yeah, you really need to be careful about who you end up using this spell on. And even too, if you're a DM using this spell against your players, the only way to save a person that is possessed is to break the container while the host body is within 100 feet of it. Even too, if you're a DM using the spell against your players, the only way to actually save someone that is possessed by this spell is to break the container while the host body is within 100 feet of it. And you have no idea where that can be. And even too, if your DM is just spiteful, they can rule it's that the container is made out of something super durable, like diamonds. In fact, the only way of actually saving the host is by doing this. You need to break the container while the possessed person is within 100 feet of it, or else you just end up killing them. And it's horrifying to think about, but you basically have a magical hostage situation with this spell too. Once again, raising the question, who is this for and why? And even too, you need to be careful about what happens to your body. While you're in your possessed body, or even in your container, your original body still ages. And if that's gone, then for the most part, it's game over when the container and the possessed body go. However, there is still something you can do to give yourself a bit of safety, and if executed well, you can give yourself Pseudo Immortality. You can cast Sequester on your original body. Sequester is a spell that allows you to take a target and make it invisible and basically vanish from reality. Divination magic can't find the target, and while there, they are put in a state of suspended animation, which means that you don't age. Which technically also means that as long as your host body is somewhere safe, you can put its life on pause and just continually possess people until you reach the end of their lives, and just keep switching in and out for as long as your host body continues existing and as long as the container doesn't break. Which, given the nature of the spell, and also too is what I said with the whole diamond thing, could literally just be forever. As long as the condition isn't met to undo the sequester, your body will just be fine wherever you leave it for the most part. And with this combo too, it's available at 13th level, which granted isn't, a game starting combo, but the fact that you can basically have this Pseudo Immortality at this level is kind of crazy. I also think that this is a really interesting option to take for your BBEGs. Once again, I think that this is a spell that's much better on NPCs rather than players. I have literally no idea why a good aligned player would ever take this spell. But imagine though, having this character that doesn't want to become a lich, but also just wants to live forever, and finds a way to do it by continually possessing people over a couple of hundred or even 1,000 years. and the party has to not only figure out who this devastatingly powerful wizard is, but also figure out where their original body is too. In addition, I also think it would be nuts if the players have absolutely no idea how Magic Jar works. And they're just going in, just like a village saving quest. They think they're just going to be taking down some random schmuck, and then suddenly, this next person shows up with a mysterious vendetta against the players. Because at the end of the day, as long as the container is fine and on the host body, the person who was possessing them can just get sucked back into it and then continue their whole possession streak. Let's say, for instance, the players go and take down the wizard and decide to loot the body, and the container is on the body, and they just think, oh, pretty jewel, or oh, pretty thing, and then just pocket it. That NPC could then go on to possess the players. And you might be thinking, yeah, maybe the players would catch on. Depending how you associate the soul to look, it might be something very visible. So when you see this person get slain and then you see something jut out of their body into something on their person hidden somewhere, that might be very visible of like, hey guys, we really shouldn't be touching this. This seems a little messy. They might catch on with that. But also, depending on how you rule it, it might be something completely invisible to the players because it takes place outside of this physical plane. Something like in the ethereal plane or what have you. But for this character, they have the potential to simply pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and act like nothing ever happened. In another very disturbing way of using spells, Clone actually gives you a guaranteed out if something were to go wrong while using the magic jar. What it does is grow a clone of yourself from any age and then slowly grow it over the course of a month. After that month, if you die, your soul will get thrown into this new body. And with this combo, it gives you a guaranteed failsafe for any potential mishaps in Magic Jar. Because through everything, you still have something that will allow you to make it back to your host body even if all of the conditions of Magic Jar fail you. So yeah, at the end of this video, and honestly at the end of writing and recording the script, from how a lot of this came out, it seemed more like the sort of thing that you could use as a really cool challenge for your players, rather than an actual thing that a player would use for some reason. Like, if you had players that are throwing all sorts of ethics and morality out the window and think to themselves that whatever the task and the quest in front of us is more important than our morality, and however we go about achieving that is worth it, maybe that's the only reason why you would use this spell, because this spell is nuts. I cannot think of a single reason why you would use this spell other than just it being necessary to defeat a greater evil. So regardless of all these crazy magic combos aside, I invite you in the comments to give me some insights into how you would use this spell for good, or even too, if you've actually ever seen it used for good. Because let's be real, I got no ideas for this. But anyways though, that is all the time that I have today for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then please like and subscribe for even more D&D content and ideas. And in the meantime, keep smiling, keep scheming, and I'll see all of you next time.